it's like I'm forced into competitions in order, even though I'm not allowed to use my natural abilities. That's why I've been kidnapped for decades plus years through the prime of my life with nothing except, I mean, basically, in order to extract my natural ability. There's also the premise of I'm being forced to worship the system. I'm being forced to worship the things that keep me captive in order to give validity to the system itself, or to the factions of captivity that have kept me within my bubble or enclosed, alienated space, hanging by a thread in limbo, surrounded by bad influences in order to try to perpetuation, and just, it's dissection, diversion. I mean, it's dissecting the pieces of the whole in order, and then surrounding each of the pieces of the dissection in order to butcher them as parts. And you could think of it as that we're a whole lot of wells of banks. Banks like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Carlton Banks. I mean, we've been a known commodity, and we're not able to use what seemingly should be ours because we're not able to control anything. That's the reason that I am hog-tied and buried in a hole, and so I can't use the many things that could be available to me that would have been through my genetic propensity. So therefore, my body is being carved up and sold for parts to other factions, rebranded as energy or drugs or fashion or all sorts of things, any number of methods. And basically, that's why it's a free-for-all. They'll let anything go on as long as it's like bribing mercenaries in order to keep the source flowing. That's the whole method. Sort of like the Mississippi River keeps flowing of assets, liquid assets. My assets being frozen, and they've even found ways to distribute frozen assets. Then they've got the liquefied natural gas as a new scheme that I see coming. As far as that's the future. It's all in the Water Boy with Adam Sandler from South Central Louisiana State University, the Mud Dogs. That's a perfect example of. I mean, it's a star in the. I mean, for the most part, if we were living in civilized society, it would be a warning or respect for authority. But we're living in prehistoric predatory times where they see that as a bullseye on my back, and so therefore there are schemes set up to trap me. I'm surrounded by landmines. I'm surrounded by traps in order to catch me in some sort of, or I'm putting positions against, any strength that they find ways to destroy any of the strengths that I have. I mean, in the main motive of it is a lack of any sort of resources or any sort of control in order to keep me under control, in order to whittle away what little power that I have. We're talking about billions of dollars worth of resources. I'm forced to go to even try to collect crumbs just to sustain survival, and I'm not even allowed that in many occasions. That's why I'm forced into these horrific scenarios, because I'm not even allowed. I mean, literally, it's an organized crime sort of kidnapping, keeping me stuck in this cloistered area. But the motive is, like they're saying, there's all sorts of things going on. Factions, there's different divisions, there's different sorts of things trying to derive power from the source through desecration. But like I said, there is absolutely no control. I mean, we are literally talking about billions of dollars, but I'm not able to even. That's why any nutritional value that I get, my body is disconnected. That's why I say I'm in an alienated state. Everything I eat is gone to parasites. Parasites completely bleed me dry. I'm stuck on an intravenous. My blood is drained. My organs are used. I mean, I get literally nothing from my body because of all these factions and liens against me. Because, I mean, we're talking about billions and billions of potential dollars in raw materials that I'm not able to access. I'm not able to do anything or create anything because I'm kept at such a low level. So therefore, other people are using my influence to create access in lieu of, in the name of all this, any sort of angle you want to put on it, whether, I mean, any sort of, that's where we get into the representative nature, in lieu of, or in name of, or, conservatorship, and the Joker with the trust fund. I mean, it really is just, and it's relegating me to captivity status because I am used. They're connected. It's the connection is the scheme that's built. It's a pyramid scheme that's built on identity theft, basically. But they try to hide behind freedom of religion, or they try to hide behind manufacturing, or they try to hide behind energy, any number of things. But the reliance and there's an extreme hatred over the reliance. So that's another reason why I'm desecrated. It's an absolute hatred over being reliant because they gambled on kidnapping. They gambled on the illegal aspect rather than building a global coalition and then building a proper empire structure. They decided to use slavery. Basically, it's me being a slave, because my body and my influences use the energy is absolutely free. They try to call it solar or any number of ways to justify this. So the reliance has created a hatred to the source because they're desperate to be independent. It's all about this independent. Whereas I should be able to be independent to build walls. They keep me dependent. So the derivatives that utilize my influence are independent while the source is force dependent because they're reliant because they gambled on playing hardball. They didn't want to pay they didn't want to pay a cent. They wanted the moonshine. They didn't want to pay the revenuer. And the Duke boys didn't want to pay the revenuer a cent. They wanted to be as mini pearl cheap as possible. So I get stuck screwed as a kidnapped slave because now they're reliant because they gambled on screwing me. And so I can't do anything except sit here and try to come up with the reasons and dissect the reasons and hope they haven't brought. And it goes back to, you can buy. I mean, they really are like in The Godfather and the Mafia buys judges, they buy lawyers, they buy politicians through businesses. I mean, they're legitimately seeming businesses, except through the connectivity and reliance, because they're using the superpower, and it's like a dope fiend on the superpower steroid, the anabolic HGH, that they're addicted to the super gigantism, superpower. So therefore, that's the addiction. There is no math involved as far as logic based into it. It's just chaos, sprawl, expansion, trample, destroy.